Yeah, I think that's what it is. What time is
What
it?
is it? What is it?
It's time
What
to go
time is it?
live.
It's game time. What
Game
time
time,
is it?
baby.
Game time. What time is it?
Game
Game time.
time.
My dog's in the house.
Roof, roof.
So that means I need to go, just like everybody else should. That
You
means
be
I need to go
sharing.
to the Mad Men of Masculinity page on
Go
Facebook
to the Mad Men of
and look for
Masculinity
this
page.
thing and hit
Remember, sharing is
share.
caring.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is
Uh,
caring. Let's do a little
Will
refresh.
Smith that like button.
Pow.
Will Smith that like button and that share
There it
button.
is.
Come on, give it a slap.
Pow.
Give it a slap like it's got on some apple bottom jeans. Ooh,
You know how we do.
boots with the
So we're
fur.
sharing right now, getting everybody online, giving you a second to join the crew. Welcome everybody. Make sure you go to the Mad Men of Masculinity page on Facebook so that you can actually comment live and we can share, make you
That's
famous.
right. Yeah, we can share. Matter of fact, yeah, we can pull up your comments on here. We can put them up on the
Mm-hmm.
screen and
So if you're on Kirk's page or my page, make sure you look up Mad Men of Masculinity page. That way we can see your comments live and direct.
that's right. Live and direct from Philly, like Boys to
Really?
Men.
That's right. Boys to Men, BBC, BBD. The East Coast family.
All right, boom. I hit
I
share.
like
Did you
that.
hit share?
I've been shared.
I see two eyeballs. Is that just me and you?
That's us. That's us.
Yeah, that's us.
No, there's
Oh
there's
no,
four
no,
people.
no, yeah. Oh yeah,
There's people
yeah,
watching that
no,
wait for you to get done so we can get started.
that's
What's
right.
going on
So
over
we can get
there?
started because
We can
you
get
know me,
started.
man. I'm,
You see
I
what
got
all
an
y'all? You
Android,
see what I got to
so
deal
be
with over
patient with
here?
me, man. Be
See
patient.
what
I
I
got
got
an
to deal with
Android.
over here,
Be
man.
patient, man. Be patient with me,
Never
brother.
ready, always on time. Come on.
Man, I'm always on time, man. I'm always on time. You know what I'm saying?
On time
Hey,
for
but
what?
wow, I can do two things at one time. I can tell
Okay.
you that I'm Kirk M. Samuels.
And I can tell you that I'm Jason B. Kendrick.
And I can tell you that we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. And tonight, buckle your seatbelts, put your tray tables
Yeah.
and seat backs into their full upright positions
Yeah.
because we're going straight between the eyes, people.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
It's
the
going
captain,
to
and
be real.
we've gotten word from planes up ahead that the ride today might be a little bumpy. So
A little bumpy.
go ahead and leave our seatbelt sign on and ask you to leave that seatbelt nice and snug and tight around your
Snug.
lap. And I'm going to have the flight crew remain in their seats. There won't be any beverage service during this flight because this one could get a little bumpy.
A little bumpy.
Little
Because
bumpy.
since this
That
is your
sounds like a
baby,
nickname from somebody from the hood.
a little bumpy, yeah.
Yeah, my
What's
cousin
up,
Little
little
Bumpy.
bumpy?
Little Bumpy got locked up. What? Little Bumpy got locked up yesterday. Yeah, man.
He over there
Little
with little
Bumpy, you ain't
Ricky.
hear that? You ain't hear Little Bumpy got locked up? Yeah, man. Little
He over
Bumpy
there with
got
little
locked up.
Ricky and Pookie.
But man, yeah, this one might be a little bumpy. You know, as everybody knows,
Bumpy.
you know, we've started kind of in the background some some production work and some early
Yes.
episodes of our Mad Men radio venture on KLDC 1220 AM in the Denver, Colorado area. Currently looks like we'll be on Saturday mornings.
With a
And
replay Wednesday night at 6.
and we'll be sure and keep everybody up to snuff on what's going on and all that kind of stuff, man. So yeah, man. So we had this conversation, the long form of this conversation yesterday. We're gonna try to condense this thing down to about half of what we talked about yesterday in terms of time. But we trying to get real. Like we
We're gonna
trying.
give you
This
the
is
meat,
for
spit out the bone.
this is like the behind the scenes. This is the unfiltered version. Like that's the
Yes.
over the air FCC airwaves, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can't
But
go
this
all
is
deep
like
like
the
that.
real version. Like this is us, and that one might offend people, even over the FCC airways yesterday. But yeah, man, this one was kind of a hot button topic, kind of a little bit.
It is. I mean, we put on it as for the title, accountability goes both ways. However, why don't you explain the goes both ways part and why
Yeah,
that's so
let me
triggering
explain the
for you?
origin. Let's talk about the origin story of
Let's
this
go back to our
topic.
origin
And
story.
right up front, we're going to admit this might come off a little bit of red pillish in the very
A little
beginning.
red pillish, a little
But
manosphere.
we're gonna bring it full circle if you trust us for about 30 minutes here. But it's gonna come off a little manosphere red pill because
Trust the
it's
process.
a topic that needs to be put out there. And so the genesis of it is man, I was kind of noticing we post a lot of things, and we post a lot of things encouraging, mostly men in terms of the audience who we're speaking to when we post stuff on social media. Every now and then it's something to women in terms of, reflective to women, like something you should consider maybe, or, maybe it's something that women could do better, or maybe it's something that women could whatever. Um, Prime example, as we record this, Father's Day is coming up in a week and a half.
Mhm.
I bet you a lot of people hadn't already figured out what they're doing on Father's Day yet. Just saying. But when I was calling around or trying to find reservations on Mother's Day, man, you couldn't get in nowhere. So anyhow, so we communicate these things. And one pattern that I noticed is when you put stuff out to I'm gonna say, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, encourage, to speak to men in terms of, stepping things up or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Normally it's like, there's a big cheering section for that from everybody across the board. Like nobody pushes back on that at all. But if you post something to women to a woman audience, and sharing something that women need to step up in and do better or consider in terms of a man, men need this or something like that. Without almost exception, I've noticed, at least here recently, somebody somewhere in the comments pretty early is going to say the phrase, it goes both ways.
Mhm.
And to me, that reads, when I read that, it comes off as, yeah, but it comes
Yeah,
off
but
as, yeah, I know men need respect, and I know men want to know that the woman they're with is safe and all. But but it goes both ways. And it's like sometimes you just need to be reflective, and you need to look in the mirror. We had the episode about the mirror not too long ago.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just need to look in the mirror and just accept the feedback and take that for action and move forward, as opposed to the yeah but it goes both ways kind of thing. In other words, like it's conditional, like I will if he will, or stuff like that. and
Mhm.
and I think, it's a difference between men and women, difference between masculine and femininity these days, how things are received, and all these kinds of things. And so, and ultimately, like we talked about, it comes down to some level of accountability, personal
Yep.
accountability.
Yeah, I mean, in my own experience, you can hear so much of this kind of victim mindset, especially when it comes to dating or relationships. And all these ladies would be saying, well, he was this and he was that, he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and all these different things. And if you say, well, you chose them, you get that side eye and the stank eye, and they're like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
dare you call me on my choices, or
yeah,
make me accountable for what I chose? It was like,
yeah,
well, but I thought you wanted feedback. I thought you
yeah,
wanted to improve.
yeah. And this, it does comes down to sometimes, what we've noticed is probably our most vocal audience anyway, in terms of the ones that'll comment and those kind of things, or text us or whatever,
Mhm.
tends to be women. So I mean, obviously women are listening, and men are listening too, because I'll kind of I'll get side comments from men in
Yeah.
terms of, yeah, I watched that, or whatever. And so sometimes we're speaking to women, sometimes we're speaking to men, sometimes we're speaking for men in terms of our passion with, being your home for healthy masculinity. And
This
so
will be one of those
sometimes the
times.
male narrative needs to be heard, and the male voice needs to be heard, because these are things that I'm sure, if I notice this, if nothing else, most men probably notice at least the feeling, or at least the fact that our narrative normally doesn't get a whole lot of play in terms of being significant. Like it's like men, aren't necessarily allowed to need something, or to want something, or to let alone expect something, in terms of especially relationships and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, and it's, I don't want to get conspiracy theorist, or whatever, but I mean, the feminist narrative is very commercial nowadays.
Yeah.
And even those men that have platforms on talk shows or whatnot, they walk a fine line
Hmm.
because of cancel culture and different things like that. And so it seems like, in our own experience as well, you have to be very careful how you address men's issues, or bring up things for men, and you have to be exceptionally careful when you bring up accountability for the ladies out there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're either are not going to accept it, or they're going to throw it back at you like, well, I wouldn't be this way if you weren't da da da.
Yeah.
But when it comes to looking in the mirror, you are the creator of your life. You are the one who has made these decisions, and
Yeah.
these are the repercussions. What we were seeing is there's a belief that you can have everything you want without suffering any repercussions. That's just not how life works.
Yeah.
And men tend to know this because we are raised from a very young age to go, guess what? Here's inertia. There's a cause and a reaction. Every cause has an equal and opposite reaction. You need
Yeah.
to be responsible for your reactions, for your whatever choices you make, so that you
Yeah.
know that whatever that reaction, whatever that feedback, whatever that result is, that's your responsibility. And maybe it's just us guys, but I don't think it is, because I've talked to a lot of ladies who see the same thing, that there's a lot of lack of accountability, and it
Yeah.
may just be the cultural norm right now, or the media influence. But we see a lot of these, even when we try as guys to help and say, hey, what about maybe you made this choice and this is a repercussion, maybe you change your choice or whatever, and you get a lot of blowback from that, because there seems to be no one who, or no one, but there seems to be a lot of ladies who do not want to take responsibility for the fact that their choices have consequences.
Yeah, and that's not only on an individual basis, but also on a collective basis in terms of not only an individual woman, but do it collectively as women. The whole idea of holding women accountable for their actions, holding women accountable for their choices collectively and individually. And I think we look in the media lately, and we see some women behaving badly. We see
Mhm.
some toxic femininity, but I don't hear anybody talking about too much toxic femininity. Definitely not women calling out women and saying, hey, this is not cool. We should not be acting like this. We all saw what happened at the Oscars. We all
Mhm.
saw that everything was fun and games until she gave the side eye, and then the whole thing went down. Then
Yeah.
then everything changed, and we heard about the court case, the famous
Mhm.
court case. We heard about your girl. We heard about your girl who likes to make the bed,
Yeah,
who
in a
likes to make
really
the bed
weird way.
stinky. um
Mm.
but that kind of stuff, and she's suffering $15 million loss as a result of that. And so in that case, the court system kind of held her account. But I'm talking about just in the common narrative
Yep.
amongst those of us that are just kind of in the streets talking. You normally don't hear women holding other women, or females holding other females accountable for a whole lot of things. And there's stuff like toxic femininity that I think women should be addressing as much as women want men to address toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great point that if the ladies don't start holding other ladies accountable for their choices and for their results,
Yeah.
there's not gonna be a lot of healthy men who are gonna join that game, because nowadays, especially with the cancel culture and after Me Too and all these different things, men are walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
We're not just, jumping on that grenade because it's just too dangerous. And so I know, and we've talked about it, that when guys are out in the dating world, one of the biggest things is to vet whoever it is you're wanting to date, and make sure, and that's one of the things I think we even put it in the book, make sure she's accountable, make sure she's clear, stable, and accountable, because if she's not, then everything's gonna be your fault. And
Yeah.
guys, we're doing our best to be the best we can be. We are trained, and the societal belief and norm is that we have to provide something
Yeah.
to be of value. So we are trained in that way, but we don't receive that in the same equal manner. And I mean, when we look at statistics, and I mean, we even had blowback on statistics. Like, we didn't make up the statistics. We're just reading the statistics to you.
Yeah.
80% of marriages nowadays are ended. The divorces that are filed, 80% of those are filed by the ladies in the relationship.
Yeah.
That's a statistic. We're not saying good, bad, right, or wrong. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
There's a statistic that says that in the last 20 years, now a lot of ladies are more unhappy than they've ever been in the last 100 years. A lot of that has to do with a lack of healthy masculinity, and they're taking on different roles and having to juggle, multiple hats and everything. But that's their choice, and we
Yeah.
talk very, very, succinctly and directly. Choices
Yeah.
have consequences. You can have whatever you want, but you got to pay the price.
Yeah. And I mean, proof of that somebody is probably experiencing right now is the fact that this conversation is taboo. Like the
Hmm.
fact that this conversation offends somebody because we're even talking about the whole idea of women looking in the mirror individually and collectively and saying we can do better. And if you can't say that, then you're obviously not paying attention, because we all could do better, right?
Yeah.
But we got to say it. We got to acknowledge the fact that we can do better. Gillette did a commercial about toxic masculinity and all this other kind of stuff. And I mean that, we have sellers of men's products, you know, correcting men and holding men
Mhm.
accountable. I
But
mean,
where is it on the other side?
men have been known for decades to have accountability relationships with
Mhm.
other men and those kinds of things. And so, but this whole conversation is taboo. Now, what happens is, see, you get folks on what's called the red. If you don't know, it's called the red pill community, RPC, or the
The
manosphere or whatever.
manosphere.
Of all those content creators that go directly to the extreme that we're talking about,
They go
and
dark.
they do go kind of down some of those dark trails, in my opinion, anyway. And sometimes, I think they do get kind of some of them do get kind of borderline misogynistic and 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 all in that field. And we're not that far. Like, we hope that we never have to scream and go extreme and degrade women and all those kinds of things on the internet in order to be heard. But those people that do that on the internet and on social media and all those kind of things, they do that to be heard, because
Mhm.
otherwise the message doesn't get heard.
Yeah.
I mean, no relation, but a lot of people have heard about, Kevin Samuels passed away and all that kind of stuff. I tended to, I got what he was doing. He was using the shock factor to get people's attention, partly for entertainment, but partly for business, and partly to get the message heard, because people
Yeah.
weren't hearing him when he was saying all of that. They didn't hear about him until he started to be really harsh and really all those kinds of things. And so, I can personally keep the meat and spit out the bones. There's a lot of things I didn't agree with, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we're having this conversation offends people, and I don't expect us to get a whole lot of comments in this one, because we're holding up a mirror. We're not saying, this time, you know, it's okay rubbing you in the belly, patting you on the head, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and whatever. We're saying, hey, ladies, you
Mhm.
know, healthy masculinity would like some healthy femininity.
Yeah. Well, and that was actually the point I was gonna jump to, because we may be sounding very red pillish, very manosphere-ish, but really this came from having conversation with you ladies and hearing, where are all the masculine men at? We want masculine men. We're tired of all these feminized beta males and the blue
Right,
pillars and all this stuff. This is how you find those masculine men, because most of the high value masculine men, and I don't mean high value as in money. I mean high
right,
value is has character,
right.
has a mission, has a purpose. He's not going to put up with no accountability.
Yeah,
He's going to want a partner in
yeah,
life to build with who has accountability. So if
yeah,
you are too snowflake-ish, and you can't look in the mirror and go, you know what, I'm wrong, I made a mistake, or I did something bad, or you're right, maybe I haven't been held accountable. I got to learn how to do that now, because daddy
yeah.
told me I was a princess and
Hmm.
all I had to do was show up and they would roll out the red carpet.
Yeah,
Well, you're an adult now and life doesn't work that way.
yeah. I just like I said, we have to have some level of some level of self-reflection, not only individually but as a community. And as much as we talk about and encourage and have been doing this for years now, men to to take some personal accountability and to kind of look for that mirror and to make the change there first. The reality is, and quite honestly, if we want to say the home for healthy masculinity, there's a whole
Mhm.
lot of masculine women out there. And so we
Yes.
recognize that, even if we're talking masculinity, part of our audience is women, because there's a lot of
Yep.
masculinated, a lot of masculine women out there. So if you want to, even if you're a masculine woman and you want to be healthy, guess what? Part of that comes with taking some level of personal accountability for, for the me and for the us.
Yeah, and to Fred's point, I mean, that's my man Fred from work. Men like that are looking for a woman that can compliment them in that manner, and that's the
Yeah,
truth. If
yeah,
he's a high value man, if he has a mission, if he's wanting to make a dent in the universe,
yeah,
don't show up as a princess. He
yeah,
doesn't have time for princess. He's looking for a queen. He's looking for a partner. He's looking for somebody who comes in 100%, because in relationships, it's 100-100. This 50-50 stuff, don't it just doesn't wash.
yeah,
It's 100-100. You come in in service. You're both meant to be in service, and that's one of the things we see a lot. There's zero accountability for, especially with a lot of ladies. I don't, and maybe it's just the dating apps. Maybe it's just the ones we see. I don't know, because it seems like the good women, just like a lot of the good men, are quiet. So we just see that 1% noisy, curated ladies out there that sometimes turn your stomach. But you come into a relationship with a mindset of service. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you come in like, "What can I get?"
Yeah.
You might get something, but it's not gonna get a lot, because if they have any self-respect or any, maturity,
Yeah.
they're not gonna put up with that.
Yeah. And men want to be heard. Men need to be heard. And if men aren't feeling heard, then guess what? They're going to either check out or they're going to get combative, one or
Yeah,
the other. And, I think part of the male narrative today is the fact that the mute button is hit on our narrative. And we
yes.
can't say, hey, this is how we think, this is how we feel. We can't say, here's what we need from you, women. Or we can't say, hey, you all need to get your poop in a group and not in
Mhm.
on your ex-boyfriend's bed, um, or ex-husband rather, whatever. Um, um, but I mean, these kind of things, like we need to be able to say these things and have it be heard, and not just, well, yeah, but yeah, but you need to, or yeah, but I need to, and
Yeah,
it's when y'all, because yeah, that's 50-50, and that's conditional. And I mean, we as men need to be heard, and our narrative is not heard. And one of the one of the things that we are carrying as men and trying to live this healthy masculine journey is the fact that, hey, this is a one-way thing. How can I be the healthiest masculine being
mhm,
I can be in relationship and in society and in culture, when femininity is toxic, femininity is going unchecked?
yep,
Somebody should be, y'all should be checking these women. Y'all, that toxic friend that I
mhm.
mean, somebody needs to be telling her, like, hey, you are not realistic in your expectations in the dating game. Like, y'all need to begin to hold each other accountable the same way you want us holding each other and us holding ourselves accountable.
Yeah, because I mean, results often harsh, always fair. The results of the feminine narrative is pushing men and families apart. Pushing men
Yeah.
away from women is pushing families apart. I don't know how many stories I've seen of the feminist single friend coming in and putting a wedge between a happily married couple, telling her, "Oh, he needs to be doing this, and he's part of the patriarchy, and he's this and that." And I saw a story where a guy was like, "Oh, really? Okay, well, let's make it even. Let's go 50-50. I was doing all the household chores and doing all these different things, but now you want to make it equal? We're talking equality? Okay,
Yeah.
here's half the list."
Yeah.
You don't realize a lot of times what men are dealing with, what we're putting up with, that we keep silent about.
Yeah.
And mainly because the narrative nowadays is, don't speak up, suck it
Yeah.
up, be a guy. And we've heard that since we were hit puberty.
Yeah.
Suck it up and stuff it down, and nobody wants to hear that. Just work harder. That's what men deal with.
Yeah.
Now, when we deal with ladies who have heard that you're a princess and you don't have to do anything but show up and everybody's going to love you and you should get everything you want without having to contribute, that's where the imbalance lies, and we're not saying this out of hate or vitriol. We're just saying this
Mhm.
is reality. Ladies,
Yeah.
if you want a masculine man that has high value, you have to be held accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. And so find ladies that will hold you accountable. Find friends that you can be accountability buddies with
Yeah.
and be held accountable, and know that all you're doing is raising your value.
Yeah.
It's not
And
about not getting something, you're just raising your value.
yeah. I mean, and the idea, it's perfectly okay for you to, if you're in a relationship or in the dating phase, or whatever, to, ask your partner, hey, how am I doing? That's, I mean, man, that is so, that's like affirming to a man's heart when a woman says, how am I doing? Or is there anything I could be doing better? I know the trigger response is, oh, I might get hurt, or he might abuse my, my openness and all that kind of stuff. But if you're worried about that, then you're not with a good man, because what's going to happen is, or what does happen, if when the male narrative has no place or no platform, is you either get nice guys or abusive guys. You either get the nice guy that just wants to make you happy, so he'll even shut up, and nobody, and none of y'all want a nice guy. None of y'all do. I haven't talked to a woman yet that says, "Yeah, I want a nice guy to just forever tell me what I want to hear, give me everything I want, and not, push back or not stand up
She's
to
already
me."
got 10 of those in the friend
I've
zone.
never
She
heard a
wants
woman
a
say that.
man.
And or you'll get an abusive man, meaning but okay, if I'm not heard, then guess what? Now I need to turn up my volume. Now I need to turn up my
Mhm.
anger. Now I need to turn up my rage because y'all are not hearing me here. Like you're not listening. And no woman wants that either. No woman wants a man that is abusive or takes advantage of them or degrades them or to some misogynistic man. And so the whole point of all this is, yeah, okay, it goes both ways. We're saying
Mhm.
here's the mirror up to you as well, and here are the things that we need to receive back. And in this case, we're talking about accountability.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, ladies, for the most part, stop listening to your friends, especially your single friends, about how to
Yeah,
get a man.
yeah,
And when you are out dating and that man has standards and boundaries and he holds you accountable to those things, that's a good man.
yeah,
He's not worried about making you like everything he does. He has a mission, he has a purpose, and he has boundaries and standards. You want somebody that will actually hold you accountable. If
yeah,
you can't stand accountability, I'm sorry, it might be a lonely life for you. Go get some
yeah.
cats. But if you want a
Right.
real man in a real relationship, it's 100 100. You're both accountable. You're both in service. You're both slaves to that relationship and each other. And if
Yeah,
you don't like servitude or slavery,
yeah,
I'm sorry. This is how real relationships and family work.
yeah,
We're in service to the family. We're in service to you. Like all these good men that go out there and bust their butts every day picking up trash. They're not thinking, oh, I want to put women down and I want to be a part of the patriarchy and I want to be the 1%. No, they're thinking, I want to provide for my woman. I want to provide for my family. That's why I'm getting up
hmm
at 4 a.m. to go
hmm
haul trash because not because I love trash and smell stinky all day. It's because
yeah,
I'm here to provide for my woman,
yeah,
provide for my family. And
yeah,
if he's not on your radar, maybe he should be, because that
yeah.
man is working and contributing and wanting to uplift himself and you in that relationship or in that family.
Yeah, because the idea is, what if we showed up with that heart of service? What if we showed up with the heart of how can I make this room? How can I make this building, this job? How can I make this relationship? How can I make this world better as a servant? The words, the term samurai means one who serves, like
Mhm.
a warrior servant kind of thing. And so my thing is, what if we showed up in the dating scene like that? What if we showed up as a single person, if I'm single, and show up as that saying, hey, what about how about I find somebody that I can serve, not somebody that can serve me. In other words, I'm not looking for the 50-50. I'm not looking for the if then, the conditional, whatever. I'm coming into this like I want to find someone, a good place for me to serve. And then you don't hear something and your immediate response is, well, it goes both ways. Well, duh. I mean, if I say that you know, men need love or men need respect or men need to be honored and all that kind of stuff, obviously we know that women need a lot of those same things too. The point is, we hear that narrative all the time.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just need you to just be quiet and say, yeah, okay, thank you for
Yeah.
that feedback. How can I implement that in service?
That's a great point because I think we said it last night on the radio show. All men, okay, I won't say all. Most men are taught from a young age how to treat a woman.
Yeah,
We're taught about, you're too strong or you're too this. So this is how you treat a woman. This is how you be nice. This is how you be a gentleman. You open doors, you do stuff. I have met very few women, especially nowadays, who have had any training or anybody who said this is how you treat a man. And so there's
right,
this lopsided agenda or just training that we deal with where we want to go out and serve women and you want your hero ladies. The derivation of the word hero is like is Saris or whatever it is, which comes is servant and slave. It's
right.
the same. Your hero, your samurai, the servant and the slavery. It's all from the same derivation of to serve.
Yeah, yeah,
And we as men, we are ingrained as part of our DNA. We want to serve you. We
yeah,
want to serve and create a family and build something and grow something with you. If you're not willing to do the same thing, I'm sorry, we're out. I mean, you can only put
yeah,
up with so many beta males who will do whatever you want
yeah,
because you're going to disrespect them and then throw them in the friend zone or whatever. We are looking for 100 100 service coming in for that mindset of guess
yeah,
what? We're both here as two people to serve to grow this bigger thing because we're here not just in service of each other but to the family to the society to the universe. We're here
yeah,
to grow this and to become better people together.
yeah. And so ultimately, ultimately here, and we're we're kind of way far out, but we're kind of lining up on the airport anyway.
Yeah.
Coming in, coming in to on our final approach.
This is gonna be a hot landing.
Yeah. But I think it's, I think it all comes down to accountability. I think um I think we're talking about the mutuality of a relationship in terms of it's a flow. It's not, it's a circular kind of thing. It's not a linear kind of thing. And so, when we as men try to express ourselves, when we attempt to express ourselves and express what we don't need is
Yeah, but
yeah, but, or it goes both ways. Like, we need to hear that, or, anything along those lines. Sometimes we just need you to say, okay, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for whatever it is. And just receive it. And just receive it and let us know you heard us and that we are heard. And you're less likely to get either nice guy or angry man.
yeah,
And
and if
so,
you're struggling in relationships, ladies, and all you find is nice guys, you can't find the masculine man. Take a step back and ask yourself. Maybe even talk to your girlfriends and be like, "Am I accountable? Like, do I take criticism? Can I take constructive criticism? Am I reactionary?" If you don't know the answer to that, it might be something to look
yeah,
at. It might be why, because if you're reactionary and always throwing it back at the guy as soon as he's like, "Well, what about? Well, you did blah, blah."
yeah.
Maybe just saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and we're lining up currently on runway 23 left. Coming in, you know how it is landing here in the Mile High City. It's normally bumpy when we
A
come in
little
for a
bumpy.
landing, especially here in the evening. So we're going to have you go ahead and give a little tug on that seatbelt there. And I'm going to leave the seatbelt light on, and we're going to bring this thing in for a landing. We'll be at gate B12, and you'll be on carousel 9. We thank you for flying with Madman Radio, and uh, and we'll see you next time you fly with us. Last comments, JBK.
Be accountable. Your choices have repercussions. If you don't like what you have, look at your results, change your choices. What you got, man?
Yeah, man. I think yeah, accountability, self accountability, or for men for sure. Like, we got to be accountable for ourselves. We got to be the best selves that we can be, regardless of what somebody else thinks or wants us to believe. We got to be our best self. I mean, a high value man is a man that has reached his peak at his age and his stage of life. Period. And when you can be the highest value man that you can be, then you can start to some degree dictate terms and to say, okay, now here's my value, here's what I need, from you. I don't want somebody that wants to be my quote unquote equal in the relationship. Personally, I want somebody that looks at me and says, hey, lead me in this relationship, lead me in this family. Not that we're not equal, but we're not the same. And I don't want us to be looking for the same things in this relationship. And so, it's incumbent upon me to be the best man that I can be so that I'm able to lead in every appropriate relationship that my leadership can be required. But it all comes down to that accountability. And I think, ladies, woman and women, at some point, hopefully you all will begin to just hold yourself and hold each other more accountable as your role or your side of the equation, your contribution, your yin to whatever yang is out there. Hopefully you all can begin to hold yourselves accountable, not push back when men have a narrative or men have a voice or a need or a want or desire, anything like that. So
Yeah, all you got to
so
do is look at your results and ask yourself, how's that working? If
how's
it's
that
not
working
working
for
for you,
you? Yeah.
change what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's
Boom.
pretty simple. All right, we
Bomb
love y'all.
diggity.
We
Madmen.
hit the runway, flaps down, gears down. See ya.